Tonight on Friday Night SmackDown, once again, we're emanating from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, inside the WWE Thunderdome. One of the big things that they're advertising for tonight's show is the return of Sasha Banks. Now, it was only a couple of weeks ago, literally 2 weeks ago, that Bayley viciously attacked her former best friend and tag team champion partner after they lost their WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Now, last week, Bayley explained her heinous attack on Sasha Banks, saying that it was just a case of getting to her first, that Sasha Banks was trying to use her, but the whole time Bayley was using Sasha Banks, and the typical heel promo, which I must say, I say the typical heel promo, but I thought the promo by Bayley last week on SmackDown, I did think was very, very good, and I thought it was one of the better Bayley promos that she's done in WWE, and I thought it was a very good heel promo. And I'd spoken about this for a long time, that I thought you've got to sell this, because in my opinion, Sasha Banks versus Bayley, that's a main event of WrestleMania. And the reason I say that is because they have put so much time into this angle that it could easily be the main event of WrestleMania. And there are so many reasons why it can be the main event of WrestleMania, but the main one is just how long they've taken with this angle. You think, you go back to WrestleMania 35, and it even predates that. Their history predates that, but let's go back to WrestleMania 35. Sasha Banks, Bayley defend the Women's Tag Team Championships. They lose, right? They lost the championships then. Sasha Banks goes away for whatever reasons. When she comes back later on in the summer, she's a heel. Eventually, Bayley turns heel. Then officially turns heel when she loses the SmackDown Women's Championship to Charlotte and then wins it back. New persona. Bayley and Banks start teaming up. They become tag team champions. Sasha Banks wins the Raw Women's Championship. All of this has been building. For when it comes to WrestleMania in April of 2021, 2 years. This is a 2-year build, maybe even longer than that. So the amount of time that's been put into this angle, you would think that they've done the breakup now. Bayley attacks Sasha Banks. You would think, given the amount of time that they've put into this angle, then okay, this is a WrestleMania main event that's waiting to happen, in my opinion. Because you look at the match they did at NXT Takeover in Brooklyn in 2015. That's one of the best matches in NXT history. It's one of the best matches in NXT Takeover history. It stole the show at NXT Takeover Brooklyn, and they have the potential to do it again. I've always said that a future Bayley versus Sasha Banks match, it needs to be in a stadium, and it needs to be in a stadium full of people. So I don't know if that's going to be the case at WrestleMania 37. I don't know if they're going to be able to run SoFi Stadium just because of the capacity there. I know that they might have fans in there, but whether it's full capacity, that's very, very unlikely. But it deserves to be a match in front of fans. And it deserves to be a match that isn't rushed. You've put all of this time into this feud. The last thing you want to do is rush it. So when Sasha Banks was attacked by Bayley a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, I said at the time, right, Sasha Banks, she shouldn't be on TV until the Royal Rumble at this point. We're in September now. You've put nearly 2 years into this feud. What's a couple of extra months? It doesn't matter. And you don't need Sasha Banks on TV right now. You don't need her, okay? Have Bayley face these people. I did a video earlier today saying I wasn't massive on her facing Nikki Cross at Clash of Champions, and I'm not, because they've done it before. But regardless of that, keep Sasha Banks off TV until the Royal Rumble. Have her come back at the Royal Rumble. She wins the Royal Rumble. You've got the main event of WrestleMania, Bayley, Sasha Banks, the second female main event in WrestleMania history, which is important as well because you need to prove that doing the first ever female main event in WrestleMania history at WrestleMania 35, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, that was great. That was absolutely great, and credit to all three of them, and credit for WWE for putting it on. However, you need to prove to your fans and every cynic out there that you didn't just do that for the PR, right? Because some people will think that. Some people will think, well, you did it because obviously you had Ronda Rousey in the main event, and she's been proven that she can main event pay-per-views, and she's main evented UFC shows and sold UFC shows and proven that she's a draw. And some people will say, well, they also did it for the PR, right? Well, look how great we are with female wrestling. They're main eventing WrestleMania. Look at the women's evolution right now. Don't forget about the Saudi stuff. Let's not talk about that. Look at the main event, WrestleMania 35. That's great. If you do it again, at WrestleMania 37 and have Sasha Banks versus Bayley, you're sending a message at that point. You're saying to people, we did it at WrestleMania 35. That wasn't just for PR. That wasn't just for, look what we're doing for women's wrestling. This is the deal now. Females are draws, and for the last 3 WrestleManias, 2 have been main evented by females. That's how strong we believe in women's wrestling. That's how strong our women's division is. It sends a statement. That's what they should have done. But to my horror, to my absolute horror, when I was watching the NFL return last weekend, you suddenly started to see all of these advertisements on Fox. Next Friday night on SmackDown, Sasha Banks returns to the blue brand. And I went, you are kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me. 2 weeks ago, she's taken away on an ambulance, Sasha Banks. She's taken away on an ambulance. And they're saying, oh, she's got bruises to this. And she's got, I don't even know what her actual injuries was. They did release some medical phony update, what was wrong with her. Obviously, those injuries were kayfabe. But the point was that attack was brutal. She had her neck put in a steel chair. Her neck was pilmanized, all of that sort of stuff. She had a bad knee coming out of the match anyway. They lost the match because she had an injured knee. Bayley attacked her for a good 5-10 minutes with a steel chair. He said round her neck, round her ankle, all of that sort of stuff. Sasha Banks should be on the shelf. She should not be on SmackDown tonight. Now, the only way that WWE can get around this right now is if Sasha Banks doesn't appear in the Thunderdome, she doesn't appear in the ring. The only way that they can pull this off is that if they do her via satellite, Sasha Banks at home, she's in a neck brace, she cuts an emotional promo and she says, I can't believe my best friend turned on me. I can't believe Bayley would do this to me. I was never going to turn on Bayley. I was never using her. I thought she was my friend. I've helped her out. I've helped her retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. I've been at her side for years and years, and she does this to me. And they go, how are your injuries? And she goes, the doctor says they're bad. The doctor might say that I might never return to the ring again. Support for Wrestle News 365 is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Now, Manscaped, for all of my UK fans out there, Manscaped just launched in the UK. Over here in the United Kingdom, we have gone for years and years and years without using the right tools for the job. But now you can be one of the first men in England to experience their life-changing product. But it's not just limited to all of the great fans over here in the UK. This offer goes worldwide, so all of my friends over in America and around the world that are listening to this offer still does apply for you. You can still use our code. But I've got to tell you a quick story first. Now, there have been so many times, right? I'm a guy. You gotta groom down there, fellas, right? That's the most important thing. You gotta keep yourself trimmed. You gotta keep yourself proper. And a lot of the time, I've been guilty of this, of using the wrong tools for the job. I've had incidences, I'm not afraid to say it, where things have been nipped, snagged, or in fact cut down there because I wasn't being careful enough and using the right equipment. Now that just shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. You don't want to be worrying about cutting yourself down there. Do you know how painful that is? I can tell you, it hurts quite a lot. And I wish and hope to God it never happens to me again, and it won't happen to me ever again because I'm using Manscaped products. That's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. Big statement, but it's absolutely true. They have just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 in the UK. It's also available around the world as well. Their third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. So those cuts and snags that I was telling you about before are a thing of the past. And let me tell you, when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can get a longer, perfect shave. And not only that, you don't want to be cutting yourself and trimming yourself all over the bathroom, getting hair all over the place. That's just disgusting. The lawnmower has a waterproof technology that allows you to groom in the shower, so no more mess. And one of the coolest features, one of my favorite features about the lawnmower is the LED light which illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming experience. So you can shave longer, you can shave more precisely, and you can shave in the shower. What more did I need to tell you? They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and let's not forget about the charging stand. You can show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So, If you are listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Let's get that bush to tush clean, and you can get 20% off and free shipping. Yeah, you heard me right there. 20% off and free shipping. All you have to do is use the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. That's 20% off and free shipping. Not only are you getting 20% off, you're getting free shipping as well with the code 365wrestle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code 365wrestle. Your balls will thank you. And it's going to take a long time. Hopefully I'll get there. Regardless of if I do heal up or I don't heal up, one day, Bayley, I'm going to get you back. One day. And then we don't hear anything from Sasha Banks again. Now, I know why WWE wants Sasha Banks on the show tonight. It's because she's a name that's out there right now. Obviously, they had the Mandalorian trailer. Season 2 dropped this week. Sasha Banks was part of that. The internet exploded when they saw Sasha Banks was in that. And that breakup between Bayley and Sasha Banks was one of the most viewed segments that WWE has done on TV for a very, very, very long time. Well over 2 million viewers. It might have been even like 2.5. The point being, that segment drew. And why did it draw so well? Because they took their time. Because it was 2 years. It was 2 years getting to that moment. You spent all this time doing it, and there was the rumors backstage of, well, WWE felt like they needed to do it because they were running out of time to do it. They didn't want to wait too long, and then it didn't mean anything. They did it at the right time. They told a great story this year with Bayley and Banks, with them at one point getting to the highest of highs. They held every female championship in WWE. They held the Raw Women's Championship. They held the SmackDown Women's Championship. They held the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. They did it right. And then they did the slow demise into the breakup. Sasha loses at SummerSlam, but Bayley wins. They then lose the Women's Tag Team Championships at Payback. Then the rematch, they lose again. And then they have the turn of Bayley on Sasha Banks. They've booked that to perfection. You're so close, WWE. You are so close. Don't ruin it. That's my worry here. Because if Sasha Banks appears inside the Thunderdome, even if she's in a neck brace, they've ruined it. They've absolutely ruined it. And my concern is, we know that Bayley isn't going to face Sasha Banks at Clash of Champions because Bayley's scheduled to face Nikki Cross at Clash of Champions. So we know that isn't going to happen. My real thing I am really, really concerned about is that October is Hell in the Cell. And the reports have suggested that WWE are like, oh, we don't have a female match that's worthy for Hell in the Cell. Sasha Banks and Bayley, that's a feud that can work inside Hell in the Cell. Let's put them in Hell in the Cell in October. And if they do that, they've wasted it. You've wasted 2 years. You've wasted 2 years. And that's not to say that the match inside Hell in a Cell wouldn't be great, because it would. And Sasha Banks and Bayley, absolutely, it's a feud that's worthy of the match. Part of the problem in recent years when it comes to Hell in a Cell matches is that because of the pay-per-view, they feel like, oh, we have to put a match in, and it's not worthy of a Hell in a Cell match. Hell in a Cell should be the blow-off feud, and it's been some iconic moments back in the day, and it was only used for those matches that truly needed it and deserved it. And this would be a feud that does deserve a Hell in a Cell match. But they shouldn't do it, because the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is in October. And if you do the match in October, then what's the point? Then what is the point? You could have had a WrestleMania main event. It fell into your lap. You spent all this time doing it. And you could blow it at October in Hell in a Cell. So they have to be careful. And there's so many ways that they can do this tonight, but there's only a few ways they can do it right. And like I said, Sasha Banks, she should be appearing from home via satellite. So if she shows up inside the Thunderdome, that's a thumbs down. If she shows up in the Thunderdome and then says, and I'm going to be cleared by October, Hell in a Cell, we're going to face off, that's a thumb down. I mean, it writes itself. And I understand WWE's wanting for ratings, and they want ratings to go up, and they have been on SmackDown. Why have they been going up on SmackDown? Because the stories have been good and they've been taking their time. It just feels like such a waste. And to me as a fan, you've invested 2 years of your time into Bayley versus Sasha Banks. You've invested all of this time into this Bayley Sasha Banks angle. You've seen them be tag team champions as baby faces, and then Sasha Banks come back as a heel, Bayley turn heel, then be a heel tag team, win all the bouts, lose all the bouts. You've been on this big up and down journey and this story that they've told over such a long period of time. It feels like such a massive waste if you blow it and you do all of it in 1 month. 1 month, they might do all of this payoff. And I don't want to see 2 months of work pay off in October. You want to see that payoff at WrestleMania. Tell the story. Think a bit ahead and go, I tell you what, we can do something incredible. We can do a story that is going to be incredible. I don't want to see Bayley versus Sasha Banks in Hell in a Cell inside the Thunderdome. I want to see them at WrestleMania in the main event and have some fans there and have a classic match and steal the show. Of course they'll steal the show at Hell in a Cell if they have the Hell in a Cell match. But why would you do it? Why would you do it? If you're WWE, there's money on the table to be made here. You just need to keep your nerve. And that's what I worry about, because historically, recently, WWE doesn't keep their nerve when it comes to stuff like this. They don't. And they book themselves into a corner, because once the Hell in the Cell match is done, what next? We'll have a rematch at November, because they won't have it at Survivor Series, because that's going to be Raw, SmackDown, NXT. We'll have a rematch at TLC. They can be in a TLC match. Great. And maybe they have to blow off at the Royal Rumble. But then what next? Take your time. Take your time and do something special. That's what I think. But whether or not they do that, they're walking a knife edge. They really are. And it will all tell if WWE has Sasha Banks show up in the Thunderdome tonight. And just part of me is very, very concerned that she might actually be there. I hope that she appears on satellite and then we don't see Sasha Banks for a while. And no offense to Sasha Banks, I want to see her on my TV screen, but for the story here, they have to do it right. That's just my opinion. But of course, as always, as I just said, this is one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Sasha Banks appearing tonight on SmackDown to address the attack by Bayley? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, smash a like on the like button as well. It really just helps out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get to people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos before. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right-hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we can monetize the account and start making some ad revenue off it, and it would be much, much appreciated. I'm so thankful that even over 800 of you are willing to listen to talk about wrestling and just chat about wrestling like you're talking to a friend. That's what I always try and achieve with this channel. So if you haven't already, as I mentioned before, please do subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. So thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.